Hello everybody. So a tough but important book for us today. We're chatting about Honour, the Achieving Justice for Banaz Mahmod by Caroline Goode. And this is a book about the investigation. It was a hugely influential and pioneering investigation into what is termed an honour killing, which happened in January 2006. This beautiful woman here, Banaz Mahmod, was killed by members of her extended family in January 2006 in Lewisham in South London for a perception that she had brought her family into disrepute because she had left her abusive husband from her arranged marriage. Now, we don't like the term honour killing, but hopefully that is a term that you recognise and understand the context of this. Caroline Goode was the DCI who led the investigation into Banaz Mahmod. And as she brilliantly starts this book, most murder investigations start with a dead body. Banaz, the investigation into the disappearance and murder of Banaz started with no body. Banaz was reported missing by her boyfriend, also an Iraqi Kurdistani, like Banaz and her community, who had reported her missing, and he hadn't seen her for days. Banaz also had a history of repeatedly going to the police to warn them that she was going to be killed by her family, that she had already had an attempted her brother had already attempted to kill her, and he had been instructed to by his family, but the police had not taken that seriously, and Banaz was duly murdered in January 2006 by her extended family. So Caroline Goode was quickly brought in as the DCI into an extended investigation onto the disappearance. They had to work on the basis that the family were hostile witnesses, that they were people who were not willing to aid and support the investigation into Banaz, and she was also frustrated by these repeated failures in the police force before Banaz disappeared, into trying to piece together where Banaz was, what had happened to her, and who she needed to bring to justice. This is the reason why I want to talk about this book. Well, there's lots of reasons, but this was a hugely, like I say, influential investigation. It was an investigation that not only successfully prosecuted the the number of men who get involved in these things, the men who murdered Banaz, but also who enabled it. And she also managed to get extradition from Iraq, which was the first time that anybody had been able to get an extradition from Iraq to stand trial for participation in the murder of Banaz. But what I really found important about this book is that Banaz, this amazing woman with so much potential, was completely and repeatedly denied love and support and a voice in her life. She was very young when she died, only in her early 20s, and her family wanted her gone. The family had obliterated her out of the picture, and they didn't love her, they didn't support her, and the community at large didn't want to talk about it. And this book is really a journey by Caroline to give Banaz back her life, her voice. Banaz is front and centre in this book all the way through. There are really harrowing moments, such as I cried when I read this, and you can probably tell I'm a bit emotional. There's a sequence where Caroline and her team, who work tirelessly to find out what happened to Banaz, with huge repercussions for their own personal lives, but when they find her body and what had happened to her, that's quite a difficult passage. And also at the end, when they get justice for her, it's a beautiful moment. But also what I really liked about Caroline's book is that it isn't sensationalist. There's always the possibility that these things could read like crime books and it becomes sensationalized and gory. That's categorically not the case here. And also in my day job, I happen to work a lot in Kurdistan. Did you know that? You didn't, did you? I happen to work a lot in Kurdistan, and I had a nervousness about this coming across as a little bit Islamophobic, that you can somehow portray the whole Kurdistan community by this single crime. And what I really found great was how Caroline represents the Kurdistan community in Iraqi Kurdistan, just supporting the extradition of this man who they wanted to stand trial. The rejection of this community's actions, this particular subsect, this particular extended family's actions, as repulsive, and what it meant to other Iraqi Kurdistani women who were also experiencing that level of abuse and rejection, what support they got from seeing this crime prosecuted so successfully. It is a fantastic book. It is likely to become a drama series this autumn. So this book has been adapted. I think it's actually got it on the title. Yeah, so you can see Keely Hawes is going to play Caroline Goode in an adaptation, a dramatic adaptation of this book. So there is going to be more around this story, and Banaz, hopefully that will respect Banaz as well. But I really urge you to read this book. It is a difficult subject matter, but to have honour killings, the murder of women, the misogynistic murder of women, so brilliantly and importantly represented like this in Caroline Goode's book is something that I really wanted to talk about. I'm sorry I got a bit emotional, but it's just amazing to have a woman lead an investigation into another woman, with all the challenges on patriarchy and institutional sexism and discrimination that brings, the dynamic of that, and how wonderful it is that there's a book about Banaz and that we don't forget her. So this is Honour by Caroline Goode. Please read it.